We have all heard about meme coins. They explode overnight, make millionaires, and sometimes crash just as fast. I've never traded meme coins before. I have bought small amounts in spot before, but nothing significant. In my last video I tried trading Bitcoin, and this time I'm gonna try to trade meme coins, and this is what happened. Alright, so before we dive in, I have set a few ground rules for this challenge, because I'm not just gonna jump into random pump and dump coins that disappear overnight. So rule number 1 is I'm only gonna be trading meme coins that are listed on Bybit, since that's the chain that I'm using. If it's not on chain and tradable there, I'm gonna skip it. Rule number 2 is I'm only limiting myself to 2 trades per day. I don't want to be over trading, I want to be intentional with every trade I make. And rule number 3, I'm trading with $200. That's money I'm okay losing if things go south. I think it's super important to take an amount that you are comfortable with losing, especially when trading meme coins. The strategy I'm going to be using is very similar to my last video. It's going to be basic support and resistance, trend lines, breakout patterns, and stuff like that basically. Now I have no idea how well this technical analysis is going to work on meme coins compared to Bitcoin and these bigger coins. They're insanely volatile and move a lot on hype. So it's going to be fun to see if they're going to be moving like the bigger coins. But that's part of the fun. I want to see if meme coins act like the bigger coins or if it's just complete chaos. Alright, so jumping into day 1, I have been looking at a few different meme coins and ended up going with a coin called PENGU. It looked promising for a potential setup. So let me show you what I see on the charts. So I'm starting on the daily chart. Right now we've got a symmetrical triangle forming and it's beginning to break out to the downside. But keep in mind, this isn't a confirmed breakout yet. We haven't seen a daily candle close below the support line. If this pattern does play out, the price target is measured from the highest point of the triangle to the lowest. That gives us a price target about 32% lower than the breakout point to the downside. Now a move like this on the daily chart is not just gonna play out overnight. It might take a few weeks, but it gives us a good idea of where the momentum is heading. We also failed to hold support at the 20 EMA, which makes me lean more bearish than bullish on PENGU at the moment. Switching to the 6-hour chart, we have got 2 key trend lines. First, we broke below this ascending support line, a level where price usually bounces from, but instead it dropped through. After that, price came back up to retest the trend line from underneath but got rejected. That tells me that this line has now turned into resistance. There is also a secondary support trend line which could now act as a potential price target if the downward move continues. Now I also like to look at Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin goes up, a lot of these meme coins are likely also gonna go up, and the other way around. Now I won't go too deep into details with Bitcoin, but it is worth mentioning that we just had a golden cross, which might sound bullish, but in this context it is more bearish. So with all these things in mind, I decided to jump into a short position for PENGU. So on day 2, the trade I took for day 1 ended up losing me $22. Looking back, I think the mistake was the entry. It wasn't ideal for a short position since the price had already dropped a lot. Honestly, the better entry for this would have been after a pump and not after a dump, which is the point I got in. So on day 2, I have been looking into a coin called MOODENG, which has been rallying really hard recently. I wanted to see if there was an opportunity here. Starting on the daily chart, we are seeing a double top forming. That's usually considered a bearish pattern, especially when it starts showing up after a strong run like this one. The MACD has also just crossed over to the bearish side, which reinforces that bearish sentiment. But here's the thing, this is all happening on the daily chart. And like I said, things on the daily chart tends to play out over a longer period. Since I'm focusing more on short-term trading, this might not be super useful right now. So we gotta look into the more short-term time frames. Zooming into the 1-hour chart, we have got a symmetrical triangle pattern forming. That pattern usually means a breakout is coming, but it could go either way. At that moment, the price was trying to break to the upside, but was running into a lot of short-term resistance, which was holding it back from breaking out. A bullish sign is that we are trading above the 200 EMA right now. That's generally a good sign for bullish momentum. So if we get a breakout to the upside, that's generally a good sign for bullish momentum. So if we get a breakout to the upside, I'm leaning more bullish. I haven't taken any trades yet, again, since this pattern could break out to either way, but I'm leaning more bullish right now if we can break out to the upside and above that resistance. So what I've done is placed a conditional order, basically a trade that only activates if it hits a specific price. My trigger price was around 0.265 and the price that it is currently trading as was just below it. So if it breaks through, I will automatically get into a long position if it hits that price. I also ended up taking a second trade this day, and it was again for PENGU, which is the same reasons as for day one. So I'm not going to go too deep into details with it, but it was another short position for PENGU. So on day 3, the MOODENG trade from day 2 didn't end up trigger, but on the bright side, my PENGU trade had played out really well. I ended up making a $32 profit on that trade. I think the main reason we saw this big drop was because of the news with Trump and all his tariffs, which just affect the market super negative. But honestly, I saw it as a great trading opportunity. Anyways, the coin that I was looking at on day 3 was actually the Trump meme coin. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we are currently sitting right at major support zone. As you can see with this super trade indicator, every time we have touched this level in the past, it has flipped bullish again. We have tested this zone multiple times and seen some big bounces from it. So for this trade, I've placed my stop loss just below the support line and set my take profit near the next short-term resistance. After opening the long position for the Trump coin, I decided to go for another long position, this time for a coin called POPCAT, so let's look at the charts. On the 12-hour chart, I drew a Fibonacci retracement from the recent swing low to the high. Right now we are testing the 0.618 level, which is often a strong support level. Then zooming into the 3-hour time frame, the RSI is starting to show some signs of a bullish divergence. It's not confirmed yet, but if we get a few candle closes, we could see a relief. It isn't confirmed yet, but if we see a few candle closes after it, we could expect some bullish relief or just some sideways price action. So on day 3, I ended up going with 2 long positions, one for Trump coin and one for POPCAT. Alright, so on day 4, the 2 trades I had from day 3 had started to play out a bit, but not in a good way. The POPCAT trade ended up getting stopped out. You can actually see it rigged just below my stop loss, which is super frustrating. If I had placed my stop loss just a little further to the downside, this trade would actually be in profit right now, but that's easy to say now. Now the Trump coin was sitting in $5 profit right now. Now I'm just gonna let that play out and see how it develops. Anyways, on day 4, the coin I was looking at was a meme coin called FARTCOIN. On the 4-hour time frame, we are currently testing the 200 SMA. Every time we have hit this level recently, we have seen a nice bounce to the upside, so that's something I'm watching closely. Now on the 6-hour time frame, we are also having some strong support forming. After a 23% drop to the downside, this level to me looks strong enough to take a long position. Also worth noting is that we got some news on day 4. Now all these Trump tariffs that have been affecting the markets a lot recently has been deemed illegal by the court or something like that. And of course, if the tariffs are illegal, that would be really bullish since they have been affecting the market super negatively recently. So I think they line up great with the other things I saw on the charts, so I took a long position for FARTCOIN. Alright, so now let's look at day 5. The trades I had from yesterday, both the Trump and FARTCOIN, both got stopped out and I ended up losing about $40. So my balance is now down to around $160, which is not ideal, but you can't win every time, of course. On day 5, I was focused on a coin called Turbo. If we look on the daily time frame, we are broken below an ascending support line and are now testing a key Fibonacci level. This is basically where we expect some support to hold. Zooming into the 4-hour chart, the RSI just hit the oversold zone, so we could expect some cooling off from all this bearish price action. On the 1-hour chart, we are testing a descending support line and finding some support here. There was also a big drop recently, which created a fair value gap. So basically the price might move up again to fill this gap before it moves further down. So I set my stop loss just below the Fibonacci level and my take profit near the trend line because that level has acted as resistance before. So on day 5, it was another long position, this time for Turbo. So on day 6, the day didn't really start off great. My position from day 5 also got stopped out, which was really frustrating. Things weren't really going in my favor at this point. But here's the thing, a lot of these coins that I've been watching and doing some analysis on have now dropped so much that they're getting close to some major support zones where we should expect a bounce from. And one of those coins that had my attention again was MOODENG. On the daily time frame, we have been seeing a double top playing out, and now we have reached a key support level, one that's held strong in the past and gave us a significant bounce before. What makes this level even more interesting is that it lines perfectly up with the 200 EMA. So I'm thinking a bounce from here is very likely. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen. Switching over to the 4-hour chart, we have got a small descending tunnel that's been forming, and it's getting real close to a breakout. With the support we are sitting at on the daily time frame, this feels like the right move. On top of that, we are also seeing a bullish divergence forming on the 4-hour time frame. We have already had one green candle close, and right now it's looking like we are gonna get another one. So that means that the divergence is confirming. This is all happening right now after hitting the oversold zone on the RSI. Plus, we have broken above a descending RSI resistance line and confirmed the breakout with a bounce on the retest. So I jumped right into a long position for MOODENG, but this wasn't the only long position I took this day. I also ended up going for a long position for a coin called POPCAT. The reasons are pretty similar to MOODENG, so I'm not going to go too deep into details. We are just getting close to some strong support and the bottom of this ascending triangle pattern. So yeah, it's 2 more long positions for me. I'm hoping that this time it's gonna turn out better than last time. Alright, so it's now day 7. So the trades I took from day 6 actually ended up working in my favor this time. Both the MOODENG trade and the POPCAT trade worked out very nice. I ended up closing both positions, even though they hadn't hit their take profit, but this was because Bitcoin was getting close to some short-term resistance, and I was thinking that this could affect the meme coins negatively. Now, in total, these 2 trades ended up making me $85, which means that we are now back to even and actually about $10 in profit. Now we are on day 7, it's the last day of this trading challenge, and this time I was looking at a coin called PNUT. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, PNUT had just gone on a small rally, which is pretty much what we have been seeing from all the meme coins today. But right now it's hitting key resistance, which also lines up with the 200 EMA. In the short term, it is starting to look more bearish for PNUT. We are seeing a potential double top forming. That's a bearish pattern. Now this only really confirms once we break below the neckline, but after hitting the second top, it is likely that we are going to move down to this neckline, and that's exactly what it looked like was happening. So I decided to take a short position for PNUT. Bitcoin was also running into some short-term resistance and currently struggling to break out of it. Plus, a lot of the liquidity was stacked to the downside, and Bitcoin tends to gravitate towards the closest liquidity. This time this was to the lower side. I really think it's important to watch Bitcoin in the short term when doing this type of trading. A 2% move for Bitcoin could mean a 50% move down for some meme coins. I also ended up taking another long position for POPCAT, since the pattern I talked about yesterday was starting to play out very nicely. Right now we are currently retesting the breakout point, so I went for another long position here. Alright, that wraps up this challenge. The trades from day 7 ended up making about $20. So overall I have made about a $30 profit, which is actually better than my last video. So I think that is a good improvement. So I'm pretty happy with that. I know it's not a lot, but you gotta start somewhere. I think showing it this way and taking this approach is more realistic than these gurus showing you how to make $10,000 in 1 week. So here's a screenshot of all my trades and the profit and loss. So to sum everything up, I actually think that technical analysis worked pretty great on meme coins, especially these more stable ones and not just these pump and dump ones. But I also think it really all comes down to what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin goes up, all the other coins are likely also gonna go up, and if it goes down, then the other coins also drop. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.